Coach Dan Savage from AtlantaMagic.com. You guys obviously took a patient approach with Markel's injury. You know, from your experience as a player, as a guy in player development, as a head coach, just how much does that, you know, limiting the pressure, limiting the timelines, help a player along the way?
It helps out a ton. I know guys talk about being anxious coming back, but I think with Kel, you know, he's understood the process of things, and he understands how his body is operated, and through that process, you can understand why the time frame is taking what it's taking. So it's been great to be able to see how he's been patient with it, and how we make sure we're not skipping steps with any of that process.
Same starting group for tonight?
Yes.
And with Markel, with his return, how will that make it easier for you to evaluate, you know, the holistic approach for your roster, you know, what you have and how guys fit, the chemistry, and everything that goes into that?
Well, I think it's going to be an ongoing process. Understanding like different lineups and what they look like, different rotations. So seeing him out there with different guys, seeing different guys out there together. So it's going to be, you know, for these final 21, just being able to look at that as we go through and help them understand exactly what combinations work well together and what we can continue to mix and match together.
Coach, Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. You guys have a back-to-back with the Indiana Pacers here for this week. Does that kind of alter you guys' like training strategy when you get that chance to rematch a team very closely together like that?
Well, no, I honestly think it's actually a great thing to be able to look at it that way, because now we can evaluate which lineups worked, which lineups need to do a little bit of tinkering as we go through it. But it's a great way it's a great game to be able to come back to be able to see exactly how with that same level of competition and same defensive schemes that you'll be approaching it on Wednesday as well. So it's a great way to look at it for our guys coming back in.
Coach Chris Cuff, 24 Flix. What kind of minutes restrictions are you going to have Matt Carlisle today?
We're going to just kind of keep looking at how he feels as he goes throughout the game. So we'll see around maybe 16 to 20, but we'll see what he looks like throughout the game.
Coach, how have you seen Wendell's confidence grow as the season has gone on?
It's grown a ton, and it's just come in different forms, whether that's on the court or the necessarily locker room leadership. He's having more of a voice in things that we're doing and what we're saying, and he's experienced some of these things before, so his ability to communicate to the guys certain situations on the floor, his passing ability, his ability to step out and knock down shots, and then we always talk about him being a dynamic roller, and he's done a great job, settling into that role for us.
Coach, when you look at kind of the offensive three-headed monster that Indiana has right now with Brogdon back, obviously getting Markel back gives you a lot of versatility defensively. What a test it will be tonight and Wednesday to have Markel and then to defend those three guys. It's kind of a unique group.
It is a very unique group, and they've done a great job, since the trade of just being able to put that group of guys together with the way they play with speed, with pace, chasing the three-point line. The ball movement is spectacular. What they've been doing as of late. So I think it's going to test our ability to get back in transition, defend the three-point line, and again contain the ball, because they're have those three guards just look to drive, attack, get in the paint, spray it out, looking for knockdown threes. So our ability to sit down and guard is going to be tested tonight.
With Wendell, he's got a decent amount of guys with the pump fake and then driving to the basket. How much have you guys talked to him about? That's the fruit of you staying aggressive, of the payoff of you staying aggressive. Guys are going for that now as opposed to maybe a year ago. They may have just, they may not have done anything. They just stepped back.
Well, our coaches have done a phenomenal job with him. Coach Randy, Coach Tay, they work with him on that, watching the film and understanding when that pump fake works. But obviously not settling for just that outside jump shot. So being able to sell it and his ability to get to the rim, like we talked about him being a dynamic roller, and then obviously getting the screen and then rolling to the rim to create the problems for others on the floor.
Luke Hattrick, Spectrum Sports. Hey Jamahl, with Markel tonight, are there specific things that you want to see out of him for this first game?
Honestly, it's great to have him on the floor. Like he said, it's a blessing for him to be back out there with his guys and just to get out there and have fun. This is an opportunity, he hasn't played in such a long time. So to get out there with his brothers and the teammates and just have a great time playing the game of basketball, which he loves so much, and just to do it freely and enjoy it.
George, anything else on Zoom?
Welcome back to the show in the Zone, Orlando's only sports talk afternoon show here in the City of Beautiful.
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks, George.
And we'll go to Zoom.
Rick, any update on Chris and Lance first night?
I think Chris is going to play, and Lance is very doubtful. He's gonna probably go out and try to move around and get a few shots on, but I do not think he will play. That's my opinion at this time. But Lance is a pretty amazing guy, and he's only missed like one game of his career before last night or something like that, or one game as a pacer, something like that. So he takes a lot of pride in being available and stuff. So he's doing better, but it just feels like this would be pretty risky to put him out there tonight.
And what kind of opportunities does that maybe present for a guy like Dwayne Washington, and what were the competitions like out there? Last game, he struggled a little bit, but obviously he's been pretty headstrong all season.
Who?
Dwayne Washington.
Oh yeah, Dwayne's every day. He's got the same attitude. He's ready to go, you know. So I expect he'll be ready. And look, this whole season's been a great opportunity for him, you know, and Terry and a lot of our younger guys. You know, and now we got, you know, O'Shea's been in the starting lineup a lot recently. You know, the last time we played Orlando, you know, our backup center was our starting power forward. You know, so Torrey Craig, and so we really had a unusual night that night, and Terry Taylor played, you know, close to 40 minutes. So, you know, hopefully tonight, you know, we'll have more of our big guys available and stuff. But you know, and Kiefer's got to be ready tonight too. You know, with Malcolm being sitting tonight, and but yeah, I mean, every game's a terrific opportunity for these guys.
With Chris, where do you feel like he's made the most improvement from maybe the beginning of the season until now?
Just learning about the NBA, learning about the demands of the job. You know, the frequency of games is something that just takes a while to adjust to when you're a first-year player. There's just no two ways about it. And you know, he's had to navigate his share of, you know, bumps and bruises, and you know, he had COVID like most of us, and you know, he went through that, and you know, birth of a second child, and he's a lot going on in his life. You know, he got to the All-Star game in Cleveland. He couldn't play, but they told him he had to go anyway. You know, so he had to go to Cleveland for a day and a half, and then, you know, went to the DR for 3 days, and then had kind of a travel nightmare trying to get back. And so he's learning about a lot of things that go on, you know, as a professional athlete. But he did a good job last night. He was not, you know, I wasn't sure if he was going to play last night, but he did well in the minutes that he played. And you know, on the second night tonight, you know, we'll watch everybody's minutes as best we can, but we're a little limited.
Coach, when you look at this Magic team, where do you see Coach Mosley's biggest imprint? Where do you feel some of the areas he might be having the biggest impact?
You know, I just watch the energy that they play with. They play with a you know, a defiant energy, and I think that's a lot coming from him and the staff. And you know, he just has an enthusiasm about him as a person. You know, he was a hell of a player in college, and he can still get out there and play with these guys. And his coaching philosophy really is a lot about, you know, just bringing that boundless energy every day. And when he brings it, you know, it makes it a lot easier for the team to buy into that. And he's gonna bring it.
Rick, tonight's a big night for the Magic with Markelle Fultz coming back, I guess. What do you remember about him? I know you haven't had to coach against him in a couple of years, but what do you remember about him that made him such a special player?
Dynamic player, you know, creator, rim attacker, you know, guy who causes problems really at all three levels. You know, right before he went out, you know, he was starting to shoot the three with more consistency. And so you give a guy, with that size, quickness, explosiveness, the option of the three, the mid-range and the rim, he's going to do a lot of damage. So I know it's been a long road for him. I know that he'll be very, excited to be back out there. I don't know if he's going to start or come off the bench, but whatever it is, the adrenaline will certainly give him a boost. And this will be a big boost for their team too, having him available.
Coach, Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. Do you I asked Jamahl Mosely this as well, but do you see an advantage in being able to face off against Orlando twice very closely together, especially on a week like this?
Well, it's, there were some of these last year. It looks like everybody's got like one of these, in their schedule this year. Maybe some teams have 2 or 3, I don't know. It's the big thing that it does is, in your scouting preparation for the next game, you're just kind of going off the last game, and it's a lot similar to being in a playoff series, and you make the adjustments and so on and so forth. So, tonight, we're down some guys that we hope to have back on Wednesday, and so that'll be an interesting factor in this 2 games. And then they've got Fultz coming back, who's a top player for them, and so I'm sure he'll play well tonight, and I'm sure he'll play better on Wednesday. So there's a lot of fascinating things going on.
Everybody good? All right, I don't see anything on